When I got into debt, my mom wanted to help me, and her approach was going to be she would pay down a good portion of my debt, not all of it because it was a lot of money, but she would pay down a good portion of my debt. I would pay her back, and she literally said to me, like, then I'll be disappointed in you if you don't like pay me 1 month, like a loan basically. And she was planning on charging me like a little bit of interest, but not like enough interest that a bank would do. And I looked at her and I said no. And it's not because it would make me feel like I failed at adulthood. For me, it was about needing to learn it the hard way and like needing to separate my relationship with money from like my relationship with my parents. I don't really believe in this whole like quote failing at adulthood thing. I think a lot of people, when I ended up filing for bankruptcy, a lot of people said that I failed at adulthood. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, who is succeeding at adulthood? Like that just actually like doesn't make sense to my brain, because I can talk about and like grieve the fact that I felt like a late bloomer in a lot of ways, but I don't see anything as failing. Like it's all just a process. But it was really important for me to get myself out of the financial situation that I had created, because I had to learn that. And I know there will probably be people in the comments who are like, oh my God, this is like so privileged. But yeah, that is my story. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think there's anything wrong with like getting help from your parents. And there are a lot of instances where I've actually told my friends, like, you should ask your parents for help because they're maybe struggling mentally or emotionally, or they can't get a job. It's like, 8 months into unemployment and really struggling in this job market. And so I'm like, your parents have the means, even if they're not actively working, they do have the means, like, let them help you. Because the reality is, like, the world that we live in is not the same world that they were adults in, that they like came into adulthood into. It's so vastly different, and it is unsustainable for so many people, especially at entry-level incomes when you're like starting out in your 20s, or if you switch career paths and you need to like take a pay cut. So I would reframe this idea of like feeling like you failed at adulthood and ask yourself, is it helpful for you in the long term, like your goals, to be able to get that support? Because if it is, then I would say ask for it. For me, there came a point where it wasn't helpful for me to like let my mom bail me out. I had to do this alone, and I am in the financial position that I'm in right now because I did it alone, because I had to learn those lessons the hard way, because I had to, become a client of the financial gym and like work on my financial literacy and actually take responsibility for it and understand like all the things that I did wrong that got me into debt in the first place. I also think it's important to remember that there's a lot of different ways that parents like help us out. And so there will be a lot of people who are struggling financially and will move home, and their parents are not giving them money because their parents maybe can't afford to give them money, but moving home is helping them out. Like that is saving them money. So like, is there a moment in your mind where you're like, oh, well, this would be considered failing, but this wouldn't? And so then can you pick apart, is that train of thought even helpful for me? And what do I really need?